Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. All right, so this is a very big video. As you saw by the title, I've had a double mastectomy. So I'm going to be sharing a lot of information. This video will be a little bit longer than my other ones, just because I'm going to go into detail with a lot of stuff. I will share some videos, I will be sharing pictures, and I will also personally show how everything's looking as well, just because I want to share as much as I can, especially for anyone who might be going through some of this stuff or just starting their journey. If I can help anyone out there or give as much information as possible, that's kind of what I want to do. I want to inspire, I want to reassure anyone that you're gonna be okay, and you know, you will get through everything. So that being said, if you are new to my channel, you already know, subscribe, like, share, comment. I love comments. I do interact and I do get back to the comments. So I guess I don't know where to start. I guess I'll start with a few weeks before my surgery. There were a few other things I had to kind of go through. One of them being I had to do a guided MRI biopsy. They wanted to do that on my right breast because there was a couple cysts in the breast that were there, mind you, early in March as well when I started chemo, but they just wanted to rule out any chances of cancer being in the right side as well. So I was fine with that because, you know, you want to be safe than sorry. So I went to another hospital to do that, and it was awful. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. That guided biopsy was so painful. I actually cried. There was an assistant nurse there, like a support nurse, and she wanted me to squeeze her hand, and oh, I squeezed her hand all right, because that pain, that was really, really unpleasant. And my heart goes out to anybody who has to go through something like that, because from my personal experience, no thank you. Awful. But that being said, the results came back about a week or so later, and there was no cancer in my right breast. So that was awesome. That was amazing. Then also, I will mention, originally, when I saw my cancer surgeon in early August, I didn't need a double mastectomy. I actually only needed to have a mastectomy with the right side. But after lots of thought over the whole summer, I thought about it in July because I knew it was a possibility. I personally didn't want to keep one breast. One of the main reasons was I was in the back of my head worried, like, what if 2, 3, 4 years from now they find a lump and it comes back that there's cancer because I chose to keep my right breast. So I personally just didn't want to go through something like that, because I have met a few women who unfortunately are going through cancer, breast cancer specifically, a second time, because they either just did a lumpectomy or they kept one of their breasts. And after a lot of conversation with them, after a lot of personal research with myself, I just felt that removing both was the best decision for myself. Yeah. Also, I spoke to a surgeon, and they made it very clear to me that no matter what they do, if I keep one breast, it will forever always be not symmetrical. It will be very uneven because one will have an implant and one will just be like a reduction and a lift, and it will still be uneven. And, you know, I just didn't want to deal with that personally. And even the healing process, I didn't want to be trying to go out and just have one breast and nothing here. It was a lot for me to think about, but I was at a point where I was like, okay, let's just do both, because I'd rather be safe than sorry. And mentally, emotionally, I don't want to deal with the reconstruction or issues, seeing all the unevenness and trying to adjust. And I just didn't want to do it. So that was that. So yeah, that's basically kind of what happened in August. And that's also why I, made the most of my summer. I wanted to enjoy my breasts and wear some really nice outfits because I knew I was going to lose them. And that's why before in my other video I mentioned I was a little MIA, and that's also why, because I knew I had this big surgery coming up, and it was very overwhelming to know that in a matter of a month or so I was no longer going to have breasts. And that was a hard thing to process and a hard pill to swallow. That being said, the week of my surgery, I had to go do a few things. So I had to do like a COVID test. And then 2 days before my surgery, I had to do a pre-op assessment to make sure that my body could withstand being under for, 3 to 5 hours, because that's about how long they gave me a heads up that the surgery would be about that long, which was scary because that's a long time to be under, and that scared me too. So they had to check my heart, they had to check my blood pressure, white blood cell count, red blood cell count. They went through everything. I had to see multiple doctors. It was very overwhelming. And that's, I think, when the nerves really started to sink in. And and then the big day was September 9th. My surgery was for 8 o'clock in the morning. I had to arrive at the hospital at about 5:36 a.m. They had to prep me and stuff like that. So as soon as I got in, I had to change. Then I was in a waiting room for a little while. Then they called me and I gave them my belongings in a plastic bag. So I had a duffel bag packed of stuff. They started the IV drip for me. They gave me a little pill. I forget what it was called, but it helped me calm down because I was having really bad anxiety and I was freaking out. So the pill basically mellowed me right out. And then they just ask you a bunch of questions. They check your blood pressure again, all that stuff. Then I was back in the waiting room. And then another doctor or nurse came in and he started calling everybody's name. He had a stack of files, everybody's files. And then he took all of us to the surgery, waiting room area. And that's when my emotions and everything really sunk in. Not to mention I was so tired as well because I didn't really sleep the night before. I mean, who really can when you have such a big surgery coming? I think I slept 1 hour, maybe an hour and a half. But yeah, I just sat there and I was staring at the TV watching the news, and within I think 10 minutes or so, my surgeon popped up right in front of me and he was like, "Hello, dear." And I just looked at him and waterworks. I started crying because it was yep, this is it. And it was a lot. Looking back, it was a lot. So he took me into the operating room and it was very overwhelming because there were multiple nurses and people, scattering around doing this and the tables, and I could see some of the equipment and everything. I was like, oh. And then when I was sitting on the edge of the table, it was awkward because I just sit there and my gown was open and, they started marking me up with all the markers, and he had his assistant surgeon. She was really nice too, marking me up and talking, and everything they were saying was literally going in one ear and out the other because I was just my thoughts were everywhere. Then they left and I was, told to lie down on the table, and then 2 other guys introduced themselves. Don't remember their names. And one of them, he just let me know that he was going to be monitoring the my oxygen levels, and then the other one was the anesthesiologist monitoring all that. So it was scary. And then he put the oxygen mask on me, and I panicked a little bit, and he had to calm me down. He's like, just deep breaths, think about something that makes you happy and stuff. And I remember I started to cry, like just, like a little couple tears. And I looked to my left, and there was a big window, and I could just catch the sky and see kind of the sunset coming up, like the orange and blue of the sky. And that was the last thing I remember. And then I woke up in a recovery room. I felt no pain at first because I was extremely drugged up. I was high as a kite. One of the nurses came over, and they helped, like, they opened up my duffel bag for me and got out my phone, because I wanted to immediately start messaging, my friends and people, letting them know, like, I'm awake, I'm okay. But then I was overwhelmed because I had like over 100 messages from my social media platform. I had so many messages. I had phone calls, text messages, which put me in an emotional state. I started to cry. I couldn't believe it. And I will include a clip of my waking up message. Here it is. Hey everybody, so finally out of surgery. It was quite long. I'm just starting to go through all the messages that I've woken up to, and it really means a lot. So I just want to say thank you, because this has been very overwhelming. Bear with me. I am high as a kite. Yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody who's been messaging me, because when I woke up, I had so many messages. I really appreciated that it meant so much to that many people. It really warms my heart. So thank you. I will get back to each and every one of you. So that was when I was still very out of it. I obviously had the oxygen and everything. And I don't even remember making that video, to be honest with you, but it was very overwhelming, to say the least. So then they took me to my room. I had an amazing, huge room with a gorgeous view of downtown Toronto. It was awesome. I just slept a lot. Yeah, I slept a lot. And then I woke up and I was able to finally move around a little bit, use the washroom. I took a video of my hospital room because I just couldn't believe how big it was. I'll do like a little clip of me kind of just wandering around. I'll keep it right down there. Yeah, it was a big room, big washroom, which was great. Yeah, so that first night, I was pretty okay. It was a little uncomfortable because I had 4 drain tubes, 2 on each side, and obviously I had to sleep on my back, and I'm not a back sleeper, so that did suck. And the hospital beds, they're not comfortable either, so it was challenging. But things became more challenging because I was only supposed to spend a night, and a night turned into almost a week. And that's because I ran into some complications with one of the drains on my left side. It was not draining proper fluid. It was coming out like, it started to look pinkish white, like very cloudy. So they ended up having to take that to another lab to get tested, which took forever. So that's why I had to stay. On top of that, it's a lot being at the hospital for that amount of time. I missed my home. I missed, my kids. I missed my pets. I missed my own space. I missed my bed. I just wanted to get home. I didn't want to be in the hospital anymore. So it started to get very overwhelming after a few days. Plus the food at the hospital was blech. Anybody who's been in a hospital for a while, I mean, hospital food sucks. uh, so I ended up kind of, when I was physically able to walk more, there was like a Subway in the hospital. There was, you know, with Tim Hortons, sushi place. So yeah, I just started to get my own food pretty frequently because I couldn't take it that much. But what else? Okay, so the following day after surgery, sometime, my surgeon came to check in on me and take off the bandages. I went into shock. And by shock, I went into a state of, I think, denial. I was like frozen because I saw myself for the first time. And I didn't cry. I didn't feel anything. I went into that type of shock, like complete numb, like just absolutely nothing. I went into the washroom and I remember looking at myself and I was just like, put my gown back on and walked out. Like I felt nothing. I went into a state of complete shock, and that actually lasted several days. There was a sweet woman in my room. We got very close. She went through a huge surgery herself, and we talked and everything. We talked about what I went through, and I was numb. Like I just didn't feel anything. It was like I was just in denial. And then one particular day, I think it was about day 4, I started to cry a little bit, just out of nowhere. It was nighttime, and nurses were doing a rotation change, and this nurse comes in, and mind you, I didn't really like this nurse. She was not one of the nicest nurses. All the other nurses were fantastic, but this particular one, it was like she was just desensitized. Like she just didn't care what anyone went through, you know? Very insensitive. And I started to cry a little bit, and she opens up my curtain and she's like, "Oh, what's wrong? Did I say something?" And I remember I looked at her and I was like, "Are you kidding me right now? Like, you've got to be kidding me right now. Like, close my curtain. This is nothing to do with you. Like, close my curtain now." And she closed it. And those tears went away really quick, and I just was completely shocked that she was just so insensitive. Like, hello, you know, I had a double mastectomy. You should kind of like put 2 and 2 together why this woman might be crying for the first time. Like 4 days it's taken for her to finally shed a tear. Nonetheless, that was an interesting incident. And then day 5, another sweet nurse came, and she was doing all my vitals, checking everything, because I had to constantly check your blood pressure. I had to get blood thinner injections as well, which I will mention were extremely painful. They had to do it in my lower belly, and it sucked. It hurt so bad. Like it felt like my whole lower body was on fire. That was not fun. They also had to check me for COVID a couple times in there too, that nosy swab, which was awful. And they had to take my blood as well several times to keep checking my blood levels to make sure that they were improving after the surgery, because the surgery was 4.5 hours. I don't know if I mentioned that, but yes, I was under for 4.5 hours, almost 5 hours, which is crazy. But back to the nurse coming, she could read me like a book. She was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, you know, I'm fine." She's like, "Are you sure?" She's like, "I feel like I sense something." And I don't know what happened, but I just broke down. Like, when I mean broke down, I was bawling uncontrollably. She sat beside me and she put her arm around me, and I was like shaking. It's just like everything just hit. It was awful. It was really awful. Um, and she talked to me, and she really helped me kind of feel a little better. And then there were a couple other times where I was even talking to the other sweet lady in my room, and I broke down with her, and then she was crying and I was crying, and all the emotions started to hit. Um, and yeah, being in the hospital was a lot. So it's like the surgery and just being there, it was very overwhelming. Um, and then having like to constantly deal with the tubes, it sucked. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it really, really sucked. Having 4 tubes, like, it was rough. And I'll include a clip of my drain tubes. I'll just plop it right here. So if you're squeamish, look away. What else? I feel like there's just so much details. I feel like I'm gonna leave something out, but so yeah, I was one day as well, I was given a day pass. I was allowed to leave the hospital because I had a few things to do and I needed to get my toothbrush, etc., because I did not plan for that length of stay. And then finally, you know, after almost a week, I was finally able to go home, which was fantastic. I think the first thing I did when I got home was, aside from seeing, you know, my son and stuff like that, because my daughter was away. Aside from seeing him and stuff and all my pets, I was on my bed and I went to sleep. I couldn't wait to just be in my bed and sleeping. So I didn't really do much on my first day coming back home. But the days that followed were the hardest days ever, because that's when more emotions, like everything started to open up for me, because I started seeing my clothes, you know, my bras, and the realization that I had no more breasts really sunk in when I got home, more so than anything. Because yeah, I would see my dresses, outfits that I wore over the summer, you know, cute tops that had like where you would put your boobs in, and it hit me. It was a lot. And on top of that, when I was able to have a shower and kind of, I wasn't allowed to be fully under because of the staples and the tube, so I could only shower for the waist down. I lost my shit in the shower. Like, I completely had a mental breakdown. I cried, and I think I even like yelled. Like, I slightly screamed, but it was like, you know, like one of those painful kind of like, you know, so I just bawled. I bawled because I could just see myself, and I was like, wow. And it was just a lot. And then seeing myself in the mirror for the first time fully, like that, it just, I felt sad. It was hard thing to process. It's gonna make me cry. It was a hard thing to process at the time. But those emotions, I understand, they're all normal. You're going to feel that. I also went through emotions where I was angry. Yeah, I went through so much emotions. So the first week being home was really, really hard. Also, I had a home care nurse that came every 2 days to check on me. I had to measure my drain tubes. I had to empty them out myself. It was exhausting. I did it like every 6 hours, 7 hours. And you have to keep track of it. She would come, she would clean the incision. So it was overwhelming. Not to mention my arms were very sore. Like moving, my chest felt tight, so I had to keep moving. I have good movement in this arm. It's still a bit kind of stiff, but I definitely have more movement in this arm. I will say this arm is more of a problem because they took 18 lymph nodes, axillary lymph nodes. So I still have, like you can see, I still have some swelling a little here and like water or fluid retention. But my arm, like that's as high as I can lift it. Like I can't really like, I can't lift it. Even trying to straighten it out, it pulls through here. Like I get like these little dents and stuff. Because of having all those lymph nodes taken out. 18 is a lot. And then I've developed, it's called axillary cording. So you can see this right here. That's like, how do you say, like, you know the spaghetti strings, like the hamstrings in your legs? You have that in your arm, right? So that's like what I'm having. You can see it right here, resisting. So I have to massage my arm all the time. I have to do these exercises where it's like I crawl my hand up the wall and down. I'm supposed to do that multiple times a day. Sometimes I forget, and sometimes it's just too painful for me to keep doing, and I have to stop. So, but I keep doing it because I don't want to develop lymphedema or fluid and stuff. I also have numbness. I can't feel this. I can feel everything here on my chest, but like all like here, it's like numb. I don't feel anything. They made it very clear I may never have sensation in some of those areas again, and over time I might have a little sensation come back because nerves still regenerate themselves, but it may, excuse me, it may never be like 100% ever again. Also like under my armpit, it's like deodorant there. Under my armpit, I can feel all this. I still have some swelling. And again, like you can see, it's like a little like liquid, like still some fluid, but over time, the body apparently absorbs that. And then again, on this side, it's like a little fluid, liquidy stuff here, but I can't feel like any of this. Like there's no sensation. I've lost a lot of sensation in this area, especially. Yeah, so it's been a lot. I'll show you guys so right here was where I had those the tubes, and they avoided my tattoo, which was nice, but it's like been healing really good. You can just kind of see it. And this side too, they did it. It was like, I don't know if you can see it. It's like right there and right there. It's really tiny. And then yeah, this is my incision. It's my incision on this side. It's like really healed, and then this side is like better. It's more healed faster on this side. So that's kind of what it looks like. You know, it's been healing really well. I had all the staples taken out about the end of September, and I did it in a span of like a couple days apart. So the nurse, the home care nurse, she took out a certain amount. I think it was almost 40 one day, and then 2 days later she came again. She took out the other 40 because it was a lot taken out. When she took out the ones right here, that was the most painful. Like it actually really hurt. But when she did some of these ones through this area, I didn't feel anything because I have like no sensation through this part. So those parts of the staple removal were okay. I'll show like a little picture of the staples. What else? And then about 2 weeks of being home, I actually got the approval to have these 2 chest tubes removed. So that was amazing. That was such a relief to have at least 2 chest tubes taken out. I will also include some footage of that, what it looked like. Did it hurt having it removed? Just a smidge, just one, because the piece was like this long coming out of my chest. The other one, it was short and it was like this. It was so fast, but it was very uncomfortable. And then week
3, I got the approval to have one of the drains taken out on this side, but they had to leave in drain number 3 because they number the drains. They had to leave in number 3 just for a little bit longer, just to be safe. And I was like very impatient because that drain, eventually the liquids turned normal, like it was fine when I got home. So I'd spoken to the receptionist who works for my surgeon, and I was like, please, like, I'm going crazy. Like, this other drain has been draining less than 5 mml for like days now, at least 4 or 5 days. Because basically they want that fluid to be less than at least 5 ml or less. So that's what was happening for several days.
And they almost wanted me to keep that drain in for like another whole week. And I was like, no, like I cannot, it has to come out. So I was out shopping. I was at the mall, and I had to like hide my drain, and it was hard. It was uncomfortable, but I was still going to live my life. Like, I was not going to have a drain or any drains keep me inside every single day. When I was physically able to walk and move around, yes, I did go out, even with the drains. You can clip them, hide them, wear a jacket, whatever. I was fine. That being said, my surgeon got back to me. He was like, Rachel, what's up? What's going on? And I told him, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, okay, you know what? What you're gonna do since you're out at the mall, have some ice cream, some fattening ice cream today, have some ice cream tomorrow. Let me know how the drain is. If it changes, if it doesn't, call me back and we will get that drain taken out. And I was like, oh, okay. So I had lots of ice cream that day and ice cream the next day, and it was fine. So also to mention, that fluid basically was some fattening, something to do with the lymphatic drain. It just had to do with fat. It wasn't draining right or whatever. But eventually it got taken out. And I was super happy because then I was able to sleep a little better. Now it's still hard, I'm not gonna lie. I still have soreness. I still have some tenderness when I want to lie on those sides. Again, this arm to move, if I move a certain way, it's very sore. I do start physiotherapy actually this week on Wednesday. I have to go to this other hospital to start physio because I really got to get this arm like more movement through it again, but it is painful. It hurts through here. Like it's a little rough. But other than that, this is kind of where things are. I'm definitely doing a lot better now mentally and emotionally. I'm more okay with my body and everything. Because I know that I'm gonna have reconstructive surgery sometime in the new year. I do have to do radiation just for a few weeks, literally just for a few weeks, just as like, it's like mandatory, like they want it just as a precaution type of thing. And apparently radiation and implants don't work together, so that's why I've had to have delayed reconstruction. I have people telling me not to do it, like, are you sure you want to do reconstructive? You're beautiful, you don't need it. And I know I'm beautiful, like on the inside, on the outside. I'm a very confident person. My self-esteem was a little rocked for a few weeks there when I first saw everything, but now that it's healing and I'm seeing myself every day, like I know I'm beautiful regardless, but I'm still leaning towards reconstruction. Like I would like, some boobies, not the same size I was prior to my surgery, but just a little something I'd be happy with. But that's just me. And I've had a few questions too, not on here, but on my other platforms and stuff, like asking me like about dating and things like that. And I haven't really thought too much about that, although I've had been asked out on several dates already.
even despite my surgery and people knowing that I don't have breasts anymore, and they have not cared. So for any fellow women out there that are worried about that stuff or future things like that, the right people will love you for you regardless. And I feel like if you don't have a body part and they're not gonna talk to you or be with you because of that, then they're doing you a favor and you can keep it moving, because the right people will love you regardless. Because in life, anything can happen. Can have a freak accident, lose a finger, you know, lose a limb, a leg, anything can happen. And if people are just gonna like talk to you because of a body part, then they're not worth your time. So I haven't really been worried about that, because I've still had a lot of people approach me and want to talk to me and stuff, despite me having a double mastectomy. They have not cared. That hasn't stopped anything. So that being said, I know if you're going to have the surgery, I can understand those fears, because that was a fear of mine at the beginning. You know, who will love me, and will I be able to date or meet anybody who will love me for my new body, and that I don't have boobs, you know, right now, blah blah blah. And those are normal thoughts, but like honestly, I don't think about that stuff anymore, because I know I'm amazing, and the right person will be the right person for me. So those are things that you just let it be, let it go, don't worry about it. I'm surrounded by a lot of friends who love me and give me good confidence, and yeah, we're good. So with that being said though, I guess I'll probably wrap this up. If you've made it all the way through, thank you. I really didn't want to like leave anything out. Hopefully I haven't. I don't know. It's a very long video. What else can I say? You know, take your time, get a lot of rest. I rested a lot. Ate a lot of good food. I started taking my vitamins again. Yeah, like you just have to really take it easy and give your body time to just heal, because it is a lot. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate. Feel free to ask me anything, and I will definitely respond as soon as I can. And yeah, that's kind of it. That's where we're at. And I still have another video to do, because I do have some more news to share, which I'm very excited to share, but I'm not going to do it in this video because we're already at almost 40 minutes, going on 40 minutes. Yes. So thank you again, everybody. I hope everybody's well. Thank you for your support. And again, thanks for sticking around through this long video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, and I will be back very soon, especially with this next bit of news that I have, because it's huge. It's a big one. All right. Mwah. Thank you. Take care. Stay safe. And yeah, see you soon. Bye.